Hello, hello. Welcome to Flute Q&A number 16 with me, Jane Kavanagh. I'm a flute teacher. You probably knew that, and if you didn't know that, you probably guessed. I'm going to give you answers to 5 very good questions that I got asked recently. The questions today come from Don, Shaun, Sally, Claude, and Nikki. Okay, let's get this party started. This Q&A party. So the first question is, I should probably elaborate a little bit on who I am. So yeah, I'm a flute teacher, but what I really love teaching people, flute players specifically, ideally, is how to get faster progress on the flute by learning the tweaks of proper technique. So I love teaching flute players, mostly adult flute players, how to make tiny little changes to the way that they play that make a huge difference to, for example, how long they can play a phrase for, how clear their sound is, how easy high notes are. So it's just a little intro, a little brief. That's my little elevator pitch. Not really. Okay, so anyway, stop talking, Jane. Dawn says, we have a problem. I printed out the questions. I can't read them. They're too small. So I'm giving away my age here. I have to take my glasses off. He says, my embouchure opening is a little off-centered to the right. Do you have any tips for finding the right position to hold the flute for the best results? Yes, definitely. Don, if your embouchure hole in your mouth is slightly off to one side, basically it doesn't matter, because what you're going to use to guide you as to whether you've got it in the right spot is to have it basically in the right spot, which it sounds like you probably do, and then you're using your tone quality. So when you find a tone exercise that works for you, use that exercise, and the progress that you get, the little tiny incremental improvements in your tone that you get from doing that exercise, use that as your guidance that you're doing the right thing in your tone exercise. You're doing the right thing in your tone development. So to elaborate a little bit further, I did a video last year sometime about what to do if you have a teardrop top lip. So some people have like a dip in their top lip, and it forces them to make their embouchure off to one side, one way or the other. And it's not a problem. So I'll put a link to that video below your question here, Don, because you might actually find that quite interesting, even though you don't have a teardrop lip necessarily, or you didn't say that you do. So the most important thing is that you stay consistent with where you've got the hole. I would suggest that don't change anything. Don't try and center it up, because it's kind of like there's no need to undo the work that you've already done on getting your tone good, and you're used to the position of your mouth. Having said that, if I was to start a beginner, I would definitely get them to use a straight alignment on their head joint, on their lip plate, definitely, because you may as well start straight. But I've had students where you start them straight and it quickly deviates off. And that's okay, because as long as they're working on getting their sound better, they're working on progressing with their flute playing, you just adapt to it. Now, there's a couple of reasons. Well, there's one main reason, actually. There's one main reason why you would have a hole in your mouth that's off center. And it's because humans are not symmetrical. Like you sort of think we do, like we have an eye on each side. But when it comes to teeth, when it comes to lips, people are not symmetrical, and it's completely normal to be slightly off center. For example, up until maybe 5 years ago, I had quite crooked bottom teeth. I got them straightened a few years ago. But before that, they were quite crooked, and I think that's the reason why when I play, I'm not straight either. So it might look straight, but I do this. I'm going to exaggerate what I do. The hole is not off center, but this is not straight. So if I don't think about it, I'll be like that. And my theory is because my bottom teeth were not straight for many, 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 many years. But it doesn't matter. I've tried to straighten myself up, but it's not actually for flute playing improvement. It's to keep my neck and my head straight so that I don't give myself neck pain, which I've been getting. And I think it's because I've been crooked for, 35 years. Literally 35 years. I've been playing the flute for 35 years. which means I'm probably older than what you think. Okay, that's really all I wanted to say, Don, is go check out the video about the teardrop lip if you would like to look at it more, and don't worry too much about being crooked, basically. The next question, oh, giving away my age. Shaun says, I have distal hyperextendability in my thumbs, so they bend back 90 degrees. This affects my recorder playing because my hand position is too flat. When you play the flute, are the thumbs pushed back, or does the flute rest on the side of the thumbs? So that's a good question, Shaun. I don't know a lot about hyperextendability of the thumb, although I know it is fairly common. First up, go and Google thumb ports for flute. I won't put a link for you because lots of places sell thumb ports online, plus in real life music shops, and you might like to find a music shop near you that sells them so that you can go and try one out. I have never used a thumb port, but it's something that sticks to your flute and it can make your right hand thumb position much more comfortable. So I would suggest that you try it if you haven't already and see if it helps. I don't know if it will, but there's a lot of people in your position and I suspect that it's actually going to help them. So when you play the flute, it's actually not resting directly on your flute, so it is slightly on the side. So if you have a look at my thumb, see here, it's not like this, it's not right on the side, it's somewhere in between. So hopefully that gives you a little demonstration. Having said that, everyone has different shaped thumbs, including you, as you have commented on. Everyone has different shaped thumbs, everyone has different shaped everything. So do what is comfortable for you. The most important thing is that you're not getting feelings of tension or pain when you play, because if you are, you've definitely got to change something. If you feel tweaks of pain or tension, for example, in here or up here or anywhere where you're playing, fix it immediately because it only gets worse. If you're feeling pain, that will get exaggerated as time goes on, as you play more. So definitely try and fix it. And I would suggest you try a thumb port and talk to the people in the music shop about it. Okay, the next question comes from Sally. Oh, before we do that, actually, there was one more thing I wanted to tell you, Shaun. It's the reason we've got to get comfortable with our hands when we play the flute is not just so that you're comfortable. Obviously, that's really important. But it's so that you have free fingers to play quickly, to play smoothly, to play with dexterity. And if you're feeling pain anywhere, it means that you've got tension. And if you've got tension, it means it's going to be slowing down your fingers. So that's another reason to sort out your comfort levels. Okay, so Sally says, hi Jane, your videos are great. Thanks, Sally. Do you give Zoom or Skype lessons? So no, I don't give Zoom or Skype lessons, but I run the Flute Academy. And the Flute Academy is my way of being able to teach hundreds of people. If I gave Zoom or Skype lessons or online lessons, I would not be able to teach as many people as I do currently in the Flute Academy. I'll put a link to it for you under the question so you can go and check out if it's something that you want to do. But basically, in the Flute Academy, when you join the Flute Academy, basically you've got 2 step-by-step courses that you work your way through. One of them is a 45-day flute transformation. That's what it's called, the 45-day flute transformation. And it's 45 days, but you go at your own pace through it. So you work your way through these 2 step-by-step courses to learn the tweaks of proper technique, which literally transforms how good you sound on the flute. Makes it easier because you're learning proper technique. And then also in the Flute Academy, we have monthly lessons where you learn a new piece every month, you learn a new technique, and you have an online concert, live online concert with me there. So that's really fun. You can come and play a piece that you've been working on, even something that you've learned in the Flute Academy. Okay, the next question comes from Claude. I'm trying to register for a session that would help me improve my sound and discover new partitions for small ensembles. So firstly, I'm guessing, Claude, because you've said partitions, partition, for anyone watching, that is the French word for sheet music. So Claude, I'm guessing maybe you speak French. Since you said partition and your name is Claude, but I also don't want to assume, so maybe that's what some people in English-speaking countries call sheet music, partitions. I don't know. Maybe I'm isolated over here in Australia and have never heard partitions in English before for sheet music. I digress. Claude, 2 things to tell you. Free. Have you done the free mini course to improve your flute tone? It's a 3-day mini course where you learn 3 embouchure tweaks, which instantly improve your tone on the flute. So my first suggestion would be to go and do that if you haven't already. Now, the second suggestion I've got for you is about looking for sheet music for small ensemble. Have you heard of flutetunes.com? Amazing website of free flute music. So I just looked up for you. They have different categories of sheet music. They've got lots of solo flute pieces, lots of flute duos and so on. But I looked up the category of flute and piano. There's 348 pieces for free, really well presented, well arranged pieces for flute and piano on Flute Tunes. And then I looked up flute and bass instrument, for example, cello, and there's 470. So they don't have the option for the 3 instruments like what you mentioned, flute, piano and cello. So if that's specifically what you're looking for, go and have a look at Sheet Music Plus. I'll put a link below here as well and see what they've got. They've got a lot of music, and this is where Sheet Music Plus is where you actually buy music, which means you've got a lot more choice than on Flute Tunes because you're paying for music that is still in copyright, which basically opens up a world of possibility of what music you can get. So you might find what you're looking for there as well. Okay, so the last question comes from Nikki. She says in the October masterclass, let me elaborate what that is. You know how I mentioned the Flute Academy before? Every month we have a masterclass, which is you watch a lesson given to a fellow Flute Academy student and you see them get personalized tips for their own playing, and it can be very helpful for yourself because a lot of players have similar things in common. So you watch someone else's lesson and you're like, oh my gosh, I do that. And then that helps you. Or you go, oh my gosh, I totally don't do that. And then you feel good about yourself because you're like, oh, I totally don't have that problem. Or whatever you think. Anyway, so back to the question from Nikki. In the October masterclass from the Flute Academy, oh my God, stop trying to paraphrase, Jane. I'll just read it. In the October masterclass, Overture from Nabucco by Giuseppe Verdi, I noticed you didn't mention playing with dynamics that relate to what the piece of music is about. That is Hebrew slaves. Was that intentional? Doesn't it improve quality? You're on it, Nikki. Yes, 100%. Playing with dynamics adds to your expression. And when you know what the music is about, it adds to your expression as well. Meaning when you know what parts of the music are referring to what parts of the story, for example, in an opera, and you have a dynamic attached to it, it helps you express it. 100%. The only reason I didn't do the dynamics is because in the masterclass, when I was teaching the student in the masterclass, we were talking about airspeed, and we were talking about airspeed and how not to get the ends of phrases to go flat, tension in her mouth, and how that improves her sound when she can adjust the size of her hole. So we were just talking about technical things rather than expression. So 1,000,000% put in dynamics and put in your own expression when you're playing music, because it's the purpose of playing music is to help us express ourselves. And for your interest, if anyone is wondering, what is this Hebrew slaves chorus, or what it's actually called? Oh, Nabucco. Nabucco, I knew that. I'm going to play you a little bit of it, and I'll put for you, anyone who wants to have a look, a link to this music under this question. It's free, it's on Flute Tunes, and you can print it out. It's totally legal because it is out of copyright. And if you're looking at the music, this is bar 54, otherwise known as measure. But I'm not American, so I say bar. and so on. You might find that music familiar because it's quite a famous piece. So go and print it out and learn it and have fun. That's it for today's Q&A. If you want to ask a question, just come to www.flute.school/ask. And you can ask your question there and I'll answer it in a future Q&A. See you later.